everybody. Welcome back to the Kel and Coach Show. I'm Kel. This is Coach Ben Conrad. Women's basketball team here at Johnson County. 26-1. We're back again. You guys had a couple tough tests. Let's talk a little bit about the game against Indy. What makes them such a hard matchup?
Well, Independence has got a lot of good players. They're long, they're athletic. Pretty much every position on the floor, they've got a really a plus athlete. What I mean by that is they've got a kid that's, above average athletically as far as foot speed, ability to run, jump, move side to side. They've got their number 3 is probably the most athletic kid in the conference. Their number 35 is one of the top 3 or 4 athletes in the conference. Their 20 was at Kansas last year and is obviously a Big 12 athlete. So you're talking about their 3 guards. The 3 starting guards are as athletic as anybody in the country. So the other thing is there's a lot of familiarity. Tony does a good job of teaching defense, and they're always in position. They know what we're running. They know how to guard it, and they're athletic with it. So you put all that together. They got a 6'6" kid, at the 5 spot coming off the bench that gives them some presence. Their bigs are all about 6 foot tall. So they've got the whole combination of size and athleticism and know-how to be hard to score on. I think people don't realize Independence, I think, going into that game had lost 4 times. Twice to Highland, once to us, and then one early season game to a ranked opponent. And in those 4 losses, their total combined margin of defeat, if you combine them all, was 10 points. So they're getting beat. All their games were right there. We survived and beat them at their place, and Highland had survived and beat them a couple times. So they're just they're very good. I mean, they're a very good team, and any win over them is a good win.
Yeah, talking about kind of the matchups against them, it was odd because I saw Tanshell Hollingsworth, who's obviously the point guard for you guys, and Kelsey Knox at times as well, when she was in the game, guarding number 35, who was a legit, small forward for them. She was 5'11", super athletic. She brought the ball up court. It looks like they were trying to exploit that matchup, especially early in the game. A lot of their points came from that. Is that something that you had to kind of decide how to guard all 3 of those highly skilled guards on the court for them, and it came down to Tanshell having to guard the bigger player?
Yeah, you're right. You look at their starting 3 guards. 35 is a long 5'10" kid. Number 20 is a long 5'9" kid. 160 pounds, athletic, strong, physical. And then number 3, like I said, the kid probably the best athlete in the league is a legit 5'8", 5'9" with great length. I think what we got in a little bit of trouble with 35 on the ball screens. We were telling Tanshell to go under, and so the kid would go around the screen, Tanshell would come under, and then when Tanshell would meet her on the other side of the ball screen, there isn't much length to Tanshell, and so the kid was jumping up and shooting. So second half, we started telling Tan and Kelsey to start going over on some of those ball screens, go over the top, and just get in the kid's hip, and I thought that really made a difference. But Tanshell's used to guarding people that are bigger than her. Everybody's bigger than her. We don't worry about that. Usually, her quickness makes up for it. And by making her go under the ball screens, we were taking a little bit of her quickness away from her. And so at halftime, that was an adjustment we made. We told her to start going over the top on some of those, unless the screen was happening, 25, 30 feet away from the basket. And then at that point, it doesn't make sense to go over. And that I thought that helped her, and she's capable of guarding. It doesn't matter how tall they are; she can handle pretty much anybody.
Very close at the end of the first half. Amy Briggs hits a couple timely 3-pointers there, so you guys have the lead going into halftime. But coming out of the half, what is something that you had to tell your team to make sure that the game was still controlled by you and that they wouldn't make another run and kind of take momentum back from you guys?
Well, I think at halftime, that was one of the things. Was 35. We felt like 35 was getting a little bit too deep and getting open jumpers. So we talked to the guards about how we were handling the ball screens on 35. And then 24, I thought we didn't do a very good job on 24. I thought she was a little more active than us and really had a good first half. I can't remember what she had in the first half, but she's kind of a role player for them. She's a hustle kid. Gets about 7 points a game, and I think at halftime she had about 8 or 9 other points, and a lot of it was just not getting her stopped, not getting her picked up early, not keeping her off the glass, not keeping her from getting deep post catches. I thought she was just outworking our kids, and that was one thing we talked about. We challenged the kids, and I thought we were much better in the second half on her.
And I saw you coming out into the second half. I think it was the first 2 possessions. One that sticks out in my mind is when Brianna picks up, and like you said, the girl who was the hustle type player gets the ball around mid-court, and Brianna just stays in the middle of the paint, and the girl just drives directly into her. She gets the and one, and you take Brianna out of the game, and it was a minute into the second half. Is it something, and I think you took 2 players out within the first second half just to talk to them and put them back in. Is it something you just had to reinforce to start the half? Because it seemed as though they kind of came out at halftime, and there was 2 big mistakes right away, and you were just like, oh, okay, we have to calm down. So you took those players out.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the one you're talking about in the second half, but I know in the first half there was a play where 24 dribbled basically coast to coast and got all the way to the basket and got an and one. I wonder if that's the one you're thinking of.
Oh, that might have been it then. Yeah.
It was in the first half, and definitely, I definitely communicated to Bree that I wasn't happy about that. She kind of stood in the lane and let the kid get a full head of steam, and then the kid got all the basket, and then we compound it by fouling her. So you're making 2 mistakes. You make the mistake of get beat, then you make a mistake with a little touch foul. Bree was not Bree in that game. I don't think she was very good, and I told her that. And I think that's the great thing about this team is when one of your best players doesn't have a great night, you've got other people that can step up and chip in and kind of have her back. But right out of the gate, we didn't score very well. Right out of halftime. I think they did score maybe the first 2 buckets and pulled it within 2 points. But it's going to be back and forth. It's going to be, we try to talk to our players a lot about the idea that if a 40-minute game it has peaks and valleys. There's a lot of ups and downs, and you can't let it phase you. You can't let it get to you. You can't. We want to be steady. We want players that play kind of with poker faces, and just are steady for 40 minutes and understand and just be okay with and embrace the fact that Indy's going to make a 4-0 run. They're going to make 2 baskets, and they're going to start going crazy, and their bench is going to get up, and they're going to get excited, and we just keep doing our thing. And so irregardless of what was going on right out of the gate, I always had confidence that we would our kids understand that it's a 40-minute basketball game.
How were you able to get the ball into the post more in the second half? It seems as though in the first half it was Amy Briggs hitting timely shots and Brianna kind of doing that fadeaway from the free throw line that kind of kept the scoring going. A couple other timely shots from, I guess, the perimeter. But there was a lot of missed shots from the lane in the first half between Kylie and other players down low. And then in the second half, it really opened up for everyone in the paint. What was the difference?
That's a great question, and that is one of the things we talked about at halftime, and then we talked about it again. I think at the media timeout midway through the first half, is our kids. We call it. There's when you talk about an offensive possession, there's the first side, the second side, and the third side. And the first side is when you make your entry pass. Okay, That's the first side. Ball gets reversed around to the other side of the floor. That's your second side. If you get it spun around again, that's the third side. And we know, everybody knows, that the more you can get the ball moving around, the better your chances of having a successful possession. Better your chances of getting the ball inside. Better your chances of driving the ball to the rim. Good defensive teams never get beat at the first side, and a lot of times those good defensive teams don't get beat at the second side. It's when you can get that ball turned back around to the third side. And so what we talked about was trying to get some third side catches. We had about 3 possessions right in a row in the second half where we got to the third side every time. We got 2 post catches for Polly. She scored. Then we had a post catch for Polly. She kicked out. Amy got a 3. And I just kind of turned around. I looked at the girls. I said, that's all we got to do. We have got to commit to throwing that basketball around and getting the ball to the third side. And when you get it to the third side, you get post catches, you get dribble drive, angles to the rim, and good things happen. So, the simple answer to your question is, how do we get it inside? I think we just committed a little bit more to the third side.
Yeah, definitely. I saw the ball movement in the second half. It looks like a lot of the scoring also came once again with the, 3-guard lineup. It's kind of weird for me calling it a 3-guard lineup because you have so many guards. But when you keep Kelsey in the game, Tanchelle in the game, and Amy Briggs as well, and then you had Polly and Brianna down low, it seems like the ball movement kind of opens up at that point. Is there something different about that lineup that kind of sparks a run advertently or inadvertently during the game?
Well, we generally, when Tanchelle's not in the game, Kelsey's in the game, and when Kelsey's not in the game, Tan's in the game. Those are our point guards. Those are the 2 kids on our team that they know every set we run. They can get us in our offense. Amy Briggs can run some point too, But generally, if Tan's out, Kelsey's in.
Mm.
But we almost every game, Tanshell is the kid that she's been here for 2 years. She started close to 60 games, and probably more than 60 games at this point. She doesn't turn the ball over. She doesn't make mistakes. She's just that solid point guard that I trust, and so we like to have her on the floor a lot. Kelsey Knox is just a spark plug.
Yeah.
I mean, she is just the Energizer bunny. She makes plays. She's very talented. I think that's over the last few years watching her play and kind of being out on the recruiting circuit. I think you'd always hear about her toughness and how and how hard she plays. But she can play. I mean, she's a talented kid, and even with that thing on her finger that wrap on her finger, she can still play. So what I've tried to do a little bit of is try to work some scenarios where we play her at the wing. Now that limits us as far as some of the stuff we can run because she doesn't know all the spots in our main offense from the wing. But there's some things we can do with her on the floor and with Tanshell on the floor at the same time. And Kelsey's just a spark plug. And there's other times where we need to get those other wings rest. So that's sort of become part of our rotation is a little bit of a span in the second half where we'll play them both. Because again, we have that just incredible trust in Tanshell to run the team, and then we need Knox on the floor a little bit more. So that's kind of where that's come from, and we have had some good results from that at times.
And before we move on to the Labette game that's coming up over the weekend, the last home game, I believe. Quick two things. One, it was your 200th win the other day. In case you didn't know, I'm sure someone told you. I'm sure you weren't consciously thinking about it. We've kind of touched on that in previous shows and how you would feel. Does it feel just normal, like another game?
It was such a big win that I knew my wife had told me that it would be 200 if I would win, if we would get the win. But obviously, it was such a big win and such an important win for our team that I completely forgot about it. And then somebody came up to me after the game, a little while after the game, and mentioned it. So. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's neat. It's a tribute to all the players we've had at 3 different schools, and it's pretty awesome. I think it's a real cool accomplishment for everybody, and it's something that we're proud of.
And one other thing to touch on before we keep it moving is Amy Briggs. I noticed in the stat line she's co-leading scorer on the team, pretty much as the 6th man of the team coming in. What makes her so special off of the bench that she can come in and hit those clutch shots at the end of each half like she did in the last game? And just what's so special about her?
Well, there's a lot special about Amy. I think it takes a special person to not start and be okay with it. And that's the kind of unselfish kid Amy is. Starting, I'm sure Amy would like to start a game. And Amy is arguably one of the best players in our conference, and she doesn't even start on our team. But what we found over the last 2 years is she plays very well off the bench. She's such a mature basketball player. She's such an unselfish basketball player. I think we started her one time. I don't even remember if it was last year or this year. They're kind of coming together. But she almost, and my staff agreed, she almost looked guilty because somebody else didn't get a start, and she was starting instead of them. And I don't think Amy's comfortable with that. She's just such a nice girl, and she's she's just she wants everybody to be happy, and she wants everybody to have a good experience, and I don't think it matters her. She doesn't have a lot of ego. She's very, very grounded. She's just a great kid, and the big thing with her not starting is it's just works so well. It's like, why mess with something that works? Why try to change something that's fix something that's not broke? So we've just decided she's going to be that first kid off the bench, and I guarantee her minutes are as high as anybody else on our team. But the reason we bring her off the bench is because she's an unselfish kid, and I don't think it matters to her whether she starts or not. And she's been very, very, very good off the bench. I mean, she's been extremely productive, and not everybody is able to do that. And again, I get a little superstitious, like why mess with something that's working? So. Yeah, she's just amazing. I mean, she's playing at a level that's about as high a level as any guard I've ever had. I mean, her efficiency, her shot making, her assist to turnover, her understanding of our defensive plan. She's a pretty darn good player.
Yeah, that's definitely something great to see, that she shoots the ball so well, and a lot of times her defense gets lost in the offensive statistics for her because she's 40% from three. I think this year approaching number one, depending on how long we go and how long the run goes. But if she keeps her averages up, she could be number one in the school's history in three-pointers. And it gets lost to how well defensively she plays. But your whole team kind of plays well defensively. So going into this game coming up against Labette, what do you have to do to take them out of their game? Obviously, it was a win for us last time, undefeated in the conference. What would you like to see to stop them? What's the key to stopping them this weekend?
Well, Labette they're scary. I mean, they have they have 4 or 5 really, really good players, and they've got their best player did not play against us the first time down at Labette. I think she was out of town for a funeral, and she's one of the best players in the league. They're scary. I mean, I think Anna would probably tell you they don't have a lot of size, but they're scrappy, they're athletic, and most importantly they've got multiple kids that can score the ball and shoot the ball. So this is going to be a game where we'll have to play extremely well. We'll have to guard right, and we'll have to play well. I mean, bottom line.
And once again, not sure if you're aware, but if you win this game against Labette, you wrap up at least a share of the regular season title. Does that make this game even more important to win, or is it you just kind of want to win every game at this point?
Well, the conference championship matters. Okay, the conference championship definitely matters. We've got those guys out there, unprofessional.
Hey, we have fans out here.
Unprofessional. My friends. The conference title matters. It means a lot. I think Johnson County women's team has won one in the history of the program, and it was about 29 years ago.
Wow.
And I think the league was different, and it was configured a little different. Tyler had explained this to me. So I mean, this is kind of like a new thing. It's a pretty groundbreaking thing. I think this would be the first conference title with the league made up of the teams that is made up of now. And I'll be honest with you, winning a regular season conference championship, I think I've talked to you about this before. It's the crown jewel of college basketball. To me, it's an impressive feat. You look at Bill Self, what he's done at Kansas with all the Big 12 conference championships. That guy can really coach. I mean, and he's had great players and recruited well to win all those conference titles because that's hard to do. You've got to do it night in, night out over a 3-month period to win one of those things, and they are hard to win. And we're on the verge of doing it, so we're going to embrace it, and it is a big deal, and we're going to let the kids enjoy it. But I think we've got bigger goals. I think we've got some things in mind down the road with the postseason, and I think the thing we're going to talk about today in practice, I'm going to really try to get back to personally and get the kids back to here. This off day's been we were off yesterday, and it was a great day for me to just reflect and think. We've just got to play and be process oriented again. Just handle the task at hand today. And the task at hand today is going to be practice really well. And the task at hand tomorrow is just play our best. And we worry about the conference title and being undefeated and all that stuff later. And just focus on the process of playing right. We got to get back to that. I think we've lost that a little in the last week or so as we've approached this potential conference championship. But I'd be lying to you if I told you it wasn't something that we're excited about and we're thinking about. We could clinch a conference title Saturday. That's fun on sophomore day. So it's a pretty neat deal.
Yeah, I think we ran into Coach Frank Hayes, head coach of Mizzou, and that was one of the things he expressed after the game the other night. He was here scouting a few players from the men's game, and he said a conference title regular season is so important that even if they don't get that this year because they lost to K-State the other day, he'd like to, kind of beat the conference champion in KU. So is that something going into these last 2 away games that if you wrap up a tie of the division, do you anticipate those last 2 teams kind of coming in as spoilers? Because he expressed, Mizzou wants to be a spoiler to kind of Kansas and say, no, we're as good as you. Yeah. Do you expect these other teams to come in with the same attitude?
Well, honestly, even if we win Saturday, it's still just a share of the title. We'll have to go win a road game to get it outright. I think everybody we play is trying to be the spoiler. And that's the thing that I've noticed this year, with an undefeated conference run and the run we've had, being number 1 in the country pretty much all year. it's been exhausting for me because I feel like every single night we're getting everybody's best shot. I mean, we are getting everybody's best shot every night. There's a target on our back, and it's not going to be any different when we go to Cali, we go to Allen, as it was when we went to Coffeyville or Indy first semester, whatever. You know, it's everywhere we go. They want a piece of that. When you're number one and when you're undefeated, you could make their season with a win. So it won't be any different than it's been all year. We'll just keep grinding it out and hopefully survive.
All right. Well, that's our episode today of Kel and Coach. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Thanks, Coach, for coming by. Next week may be our last episode, but I don't think so. We'll hold that off because I think hopefully we'll be talking to a national championship coach in here after that. But make sure you guys keep checking out the videos. Check out ECAV Radio. The show plays every Friday at 3 p.m. on there, so it's ecavradio.com. You'll get to see a lot more of us. Come out to the game on Saturday. Make sure you show support for the team. And come out to the postseason games, which we'll be hosting for the women's basketball team. So come out to that. Until then, see you later. We're out.